Alright, let's be real. I think a lot of us already knew that there was something weird going on behind the scenes at Firewalk Studios, the developer behind Concord, the game that has pronouns for robots, among many other interesting design choices, to put it nicely. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into one of the developers, Lisa Brown. The Professor, because according to a source that knows very vital information behind the scenes at this company, I have been informed that there's some very strange things going on there, specifically when it comes to this developer, where if you don't address her as the Professor, then you're going to be the one out of line. And I feel like the pronoun thing has morphed into some weird mutation, where now it's not addressing people by their preferred pronouns. Now you have to call them specific things. And if you don't, you're the one that's in the wrong. And when it comes to making a game in a game studio, that creates a very hostile work environment. Ironically, exactly the type of environment that I'm hearing Firewalk Studios actually was. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down more information on Lisa Brown, aka The Professor, and why this odd person might be just the tip of the iceberg. Firewalk Studios is already under scrutiny for the beta release of what many, including myself, have called an impending flop with Concord. The game might be alright as far as gameplay is concerned, but unfortunately, in a crowded field of free-to-play hero shooters, it has trouble standing out. I can't locate somebody that's willing to pay $40 for a base game vanilla copy of something that is just as serviceable that you can find elsewhere with far more players for free. But this goes beyond just the pricing structure problem with Concord and dives into more details of the development team, the people working on the game over at Firewalk Studios, and why they might not have their heads screwed on tight when it comes to making logical decisions. The information that I'm going to go over in this video came anonymously from an inside source, somebody that would like to prefer to remain unnamed, because they fear retaliation from these types of people, someone who knows exactly how they operate and can't speak up for themselves because they have their own life and family to support, and if they do that, then that could be in jeopardy. These details shine a light on not just the operational failures, but the personal dynamics that are influencing the studio's output. You know, the whole get woke, go broke thing? Well, this place, Firewalk Studios, looks to be the type of place where that mind virus goes to mutate. Lisa Brown, who goes by Wordle on Twitter, and it's now protected after I called her out with these allegations, she's a developer at Firewalk and recently declared themselves as non-binary and required all coworkers to refer to her as the Professor within the workplace. And the source was telling me that if people would not want to refer to her as that, or didn't feel comfortable with it, then their job would be in jeopardy. Meaning that this person had their pronouns pushed to the point of calling them something that they have not earned before. They didn't have any degrees or accomplishments to be called Professor. They just decided one day when they woke up saying, I'm a professor now, and people should start calling me that. Here's where it gets crazy. This change, according to the source, had led to a company-wide enforcement on adjustments in addressing and interactions, meaning that people were required to address people how they demanded to be spoken to. And meetings from this Lisa Brown developer, when they had these scrums together at the office, would be titled really weird things like Meeting with the Professor or Teaching Learning with the Professor, which, as the source had reported to me, were not well received by the staff there. Universally, like many of the people at Firewalk Studios, felt uncomfortable around this person, but also felt like they'd be retaliated against if they tried to speak up and say anything, because the overwhelming architecture of the company, especially when it comes to HR, was very left-leaning, meaning that it was very sympathetic to pronoun bias and how people are addressed and exactly how you need to report to people, and if you don't give them that respect, then you're the person in the wrong. And those of you who've been watching the channel for a while might remember I made a video talking about how this dude named Nick, who's a developer on Halo, talked about how he didn't feel comfortable designing guns for Halo, but could justify it because they're space fantasy guns, they're not real life, so he could work on the guns and make the guns for the game because they weren't real life. And that was crazy enough in its own right, but apparently it's becoming a very strange trend because this Lisa Brown developer also did not share much of an affinity for weapons, yet worked on developing a squad-based hero shooter. It just strikes me as odd that these developers keep finding themselves in roles for games that they don't like doing. Like, why are you there? It's almost like the world has become a place where people get a job wherever they can get it and then just make do because they got that job. They don't really have the passion for it. They don't have the care or the emphasis to try harder for it. They just want to get that paycheck. And not being a fan of guns would be bad enough working on this, but this is coming from someone who also worked with Bungie and worked on Destiny. This isn't the first time that she worked on a game with guns, which is just really strange to me. And then on top of that, Lisa also was someone who advocated for firing people that refused to get vaccinated during the pandemic. Let that sink in just a little bit. Listen to how authoritative this type of personality is, where they demand to be addressed a certain way. They demand people respect what they wake up and feel like, and they're non-binary one day and have to be addressed as the professor, work on a game that has guns, but they don't like guns, but then also don't want people in the office that aren't vaccinated to the point of complaining about them, wanting them to get fired because of it. This is just one of the employees that's in a high-up position at a company making this game. The impact of these internal dynamics is definitely a contributing factor to the lackluster performance of Concord during its beta release. I mean, let's be real. Like I said earlier, the $40 price point didn't do it any favors out of the gate either. But here we are. The game was initially envisioned by Sony as a major release, but it's not even come close to meeting even the lowest of expectations, leading to grander concerns about Firewalk Studios in general. This is the kind of thing that will doom a company, and you can look at the game as an abject failure and say, oh, that's why the company folded, that's why everyone got let go. But when you take a look deeper into it, it's actually way scarier than that. The assertions made by this whistleblower giving me the information are part of a much broader investigation that I have going on with the studio's culture and operational efficiencies. More of my investigation goes into further detail on HR and their cult mentality and how employees are afraid to speak out against any of the poor design choices for fear of being blacklisted at their own company. This ran through the entire organization insidiously and completely rotted it from the inside out. Concord didn't fail because it's a bad game. It failed because the people working there couldn't step outside themselves to realize that logic trumps their fantasy world. Gamers are living a real life in the real world. They use these games as escapism. They want to be free of the drama, the wokeness, the injected DEIs, these weird aggressive behaviors by many of the developers and people working in HR in these companies. And ultimately, the only thing that's going to fix the industry is by naturally letting it work itself out of it. And I feel like Firewalk Studios is Exhibit A for exactly that. And while I don't know Lisa Brown, this professor person, personally, the information that was provided to me from this whistleblower with inside information, it all checks out. Everything that I was able to research strikes me as, yep, this is someone that knows exactly what was going on at Firewalk Studios. And I think, in a weird way, all of us know the type of person that Lisa is. Might be nice to your face, could be extremely cordial in real life, but ultimately very conniving and backstabbing, where if you do not agree with their personal choices and their life approach, then you are the bad guy. And that kind of culture permeates the entire industry. And the person that reached out to me with this information that I have much more of wants to get rid of that, wants the industry to change for the better. And the only way that's going to happen is by shedding light on it, by bringing it out and telling people this is the problem that's going on behind the scenes in the video game industry. Right now, Firewalk Studios with Concord, the people behind it are going to be the reason why it all failed. And they'll have no one to blame but themselves. It's just a matter of time before they fold. And yeah, you heard it here first. I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. I also have a much deeper dive talking about Firewalk Studios and the problems insidiously infecting the entire organization there. And for $5 a month, if you sign up to become a smasher, you can have access to all this insider information that I have for you right now. And eventually, once I get it all together, I will be putting a video together with everything that I've found. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
Who am I? My name is Lisa. I have been a game designer for over 10 years now. I'm currently a senior sandbox designer at Bungie. That's the team that does player systems like weapons and armor and abilities. Smash,